Why should I have to put up with this when I have a disability myself? So my partner's not allowed in here, but I have to put up with this. Really? Really, Andrew Cook? Really? You've used my partner's flat. This is what I'm putting up with. That's what I'm putting up with. Now, what if I was afraid of dogs? Yeah? What if I was afraid of dogs? Right? I'm suffering from anxiety and trauma, and my partner's not allowed in here. My partner is not allowed in here, and he's bringing me food so that I don't starve. I've got OCD. That means that I can't cope with being around people right now because I was attacked at Belmore Road by convicted criminals, and the police and property managers suggested that my partner stay with me to keep me safe. One of my assailants was mentioned in the national news as mugging the elderly. And my partner's getting on a bus right now to bring me food so I don't starve, but he's not allowed in here. And Caroline Ansell gave him a caring role through Care for the Carers, and then banned him from visiting me in the hospital. And he's not allowed in here. I wouldn't be here if it were not for him. And the very homeless food charities, I can't even hear myself speak. I can't even hear myself speak. So I have to close the window. So as I was saying, the very food stations where he's getting food for me and a toilet roll because I've had no money, so I would starve in here. My partner is coming over from Eastbourne with money he doesn't have. He's been borrowing money from his own father. I don't know how my father died 18 months ago because, as you can see on my Facebook wall, I had a police beating as a response to my father's death. Well, guess what? The very people that he is going to get free food from Eastbourne to bring over here for me are fuming angry at what you, Eastbourne Borough Council, are still doing to me, even with legal help. And apparently, according to a woman from Warming Up the Homeless, this is being done to a lot of people, and it's deliberate. We know it's deliberate. I should not even be in here. I've just been texting the proprietor of this property, and he's telling me no one else complains. That's not the point. That is not the point. Andrew Cook did not tell me there were dogs here, and he did not tell me that my partner was not allowed in here. As it is, there's a lot of banging, slamming and thumping. I'm out of town. I've just had my self-contained flat illegally stolen from me by force by public servants who dragged me out of my home where I was meant to be getting support, and I'm getting a solicitor from my late father's estate to do the job of adult social care who couldn't give a damn, to find out what happened to my father 18 months ago because I don't know how he died. So this is basically a very, very corrupt, sinister establishment. Yeah, so you see the point I'm making here. So my partner's not allowed in here, but they are. And I've got crippling anxiety and OCD and trauma because I had beatings, assault and bruises. Have a look on my Facebook wall. And that was before what they did to me on my birthday, 2 days after I was dragged out of my home. I can't do washing here. I can't do anything here. And they've used my partner, Andrew Cook, and I've got something else to say. It's a real humdinger, but I'm saving it for last. Andrew Cook, well, basically, once they'd dragged me out of my home and beaten me, the police in A&E, and done all these horrific crimes, once they'd done all of that to me, they knew that my partner's got a flat. So they said, you've got somewhere to stay. And when the stress between me and my partner became too much in his tiny, tiny flat, which has become like a warehouse in itself because he's housing possessions of mine from all these places. There's Steve Churchill at the food bank in Eastbourne who's got possessions of mine. There's Eben, and I've got problems with her. I've got possessions in several places in Hailsham. I'm paying storage for other people's unsanitary waste. So they've basically, Eastbourne Borough Council has used me as a waste disposal unit because I found an incontinence pad and a hospital towel, and I'm paying storage for that. But wait for this. Wait till you hear this, because I'm starting to get very annoyed with one of the proprietors of this place, the son. Okay? So I'm not filming any people or anything like that. The only reason why I filmed the night porter at SDR Living was because I'd been beaten by the police, crimes were being ignored, and they'd already given me notice to leave. And then I had more beatings and assault 2 days after the managing director changed the locks and left me to walk the streets. And the deputy manager of the Lansdowne Hotel was more concerned about me because he said we get lots of people from SDR Living coming to us and complaining. You see where I'm going with this? So even if my partner was allowed in here and he still had that stupid caring role nonsense, because I've been a carer myself, and they've used it and abused it. As I said, that Caroline Ansell MP, her caseworker, gave him a caring role. Then he was banned from visiting me in the hospital. Now he's banned from coming in here. Even if he was allowed in here, this is too stressful. Okay? I can't even go to the GP about the OCD because he couldn't care less that the flat he got me into has just been brutally stolen from me. He couldn't care less. He even texted me, "You spent 4 hours with Dr. Jones." And I had a receptionist say to me at the Lighthouse practice, "I think you should report her as well to the GMC." But the GMC is a scam because a week before they took that flat from me, I looked on Trustpilot, and lo and behold, just like the local government and social care ombudsman, 100% bad reviews. Everyone's saying it's corrupt. Everyone's saying it's a scam, including a doctor. A doctor's review on Trustpilot actually says, don't go to the General Medical Council, it's a scam. So the doctor couldn't care less. So I've got a disability, right? my disability is being ignored. My disability prevents me from using the washing machine. And it's in conjunction with, anyway, so you see where I'm going with this. So I never had OCD like this before. I've never, and Leslie Alloway, the food bank advocate, said I have OCD, which has not been diagnosed because I've been screwed around by this corrupt system. And I've had corruption and tyranny, and my partner's coming over here to make sure I don't starve, but he's not allowed in here. So I'm going to send another text message because I'm sickened by this. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't have even made it to Henouss Travel Lodge for one night. Yes, £15 one way to Henouss for one night. One night. And my partner had borrowed money from his dad. I explained why I couldn't stay in my partner's flat. They couldn't care less if he was some great big thug like Eastbourne Police. He's the safest person, the most gentle person you could ever be around. And that's why they're abusing both of us. That's why they're screwing us around. That is why I've had the executor of my late mother's estate say to me years ago that I need to know how to play the system. She once threatened me with police. My partner was down there with his father saying to her what was going on and losing his temper with her. And now I've got the executor of my late father's estate, and I don't know how he died, and they call this support. He's slamming the door, the whole house is shaking. It's driving me nuts. But my partner's not allowed in here, and you gave him a caring role. My godmother is in the next road from here. I can't go to her because at the property where I was being attacked, she rang me out of the blue to say life is a bitch, and she hung up on me. My Portuguese godmother. And I don't know what's happened to my late mother's friend, because one minute she was saying my late mother's friend, who's in her late 80s, wanted to see me. Then she said she's got cancer. Then she said Then she said, oh, there's a big deadly killer out there. And she hung up on me because of the programming, the socially engineered Luciferian mind control. This is the reality of what is happening. We've got homeless food stations on the streets of Eastbourne for working families, and this has all been done deliberately. This is all by design, but it costs £7 million a day to put up illegal immigrants who are knifing to death, people in the street, babies in pushchairs, and that's your local government. Just go and have a look on my Facebook. Well, this is driving me mad. She says she keeps them on the lead. Now, I don't want the dogs to suffer. But I'm suffering because my partner's not allowed here and I've got a disability that means I can't use the facilities. He's bringing me food so I don't starve, and toilet paper and all these other things, because I've spent thousands and thousands of pounds of backpip on hotels when I fled a property where I was attacked by people who were mentioned in the national news. Well, one of whom, mother and daughter with 22 previous convictions. And all of a sudden, all the counsellors that I went to suddenly know about my YouTube channel. Well, here's the great big humdinger. Here's the great big surprise. Well, nothing's a surprise. The son proprietor of this property said to me all that nonsense about Sally Fisher saying that I seem like a really good person. I said she's a nasty, vindictive, well, like a lot of them at Eastbourne Borough Council and to Eastbourne Police. Just watch my last video. And basically, this Sally Fisher had emailed me to say that I had only so long to take my possessions. No, sorry. No, she'd emailed me to say, oh, well, obviously they went in and took all my possessions and said you can't come in here and get your things, etc., etc. I really am struggling to keep my banging and thumping, and it sounds like weights are being dropped on the ground and all of that. Even if my partner was allowed in here. So I really need the English Constitutional Party, because I'm sick of all these. There are no men and women out there. The men are like little ninnies in nappies, you know. There's just there are no real men and women anymore, are there? But as I was saying, what was I saying? Oh God, she keeps slamming the doors. What was I saying? So, Sally Fisher had emailed me to say that we're paying for a week or we'll pay for a month's rent of your possessions from SDR Living. And bearing in mind I have a gold heirloom ring, and you imagine people, you've had news of your father's death, which you still don't have any information about. You've had crimes committed against you. All of this is happening in your brand new flat that you've only had for 4 months, that your GP practice got you. Then all of a sudden you're being dragged out. We don't want you here. We're taking your home from you. And this is a place where they had staff trained 24/7 to deal with complex needs. They're all demented. And then you get an email from Sally Fisher saying, you've got so long, we will pay for a month's rent for your storage. This is where we're keeping it. After a month, you need to pay for storage, otherwise the things will be disposed of. So my partner chased up what was going on with my possessions that they'd taken out of SDR Living flat. And guess what? This Sally Fisher who said my partner's not allowed in here, well, guess what? Guess what? My partner's just found out from the storage place, which is in this town, because I'm out of Eastbourne. They're saying that Eastbourne Borough Council are now paying for my storage. So isn't that interesting? Very interesting. But that doesn't take away from your crimes. And in the SLAMIMING, everything's being documented. Everything you're doing, everything is being watched and documented. Trust me. My partner helps to remind me of this. But it's disgusting. It really is. It really is sickening, all of this. Slams the door. The whole house shakes. And the dogs smell. There are hairs, okay, I'm going to say it. There are big dog hairs in the washing machine. I've got crippling OCD. I have to wipe everything. I have to clean washing machine. It's a nightmare going to the laundrette. But they didn't even tell me that there were dogs here, and they didn't tell me that my partner's not allowed here, and yet he's the one who subsidised everything. I'd be on the streets suicidal. There'd be, well, you can only imagine what they'd be doing to me. They'd be incarcerating me and continuing to abuse me in the psychiatric unit where I met. She's just slamming the door and the whole house shakes. See, right, so you can imagine I'd be incarcerated. And that's where I met John Alexander Patterson, the fraud investigator who showed me legalese documents of baby organ harvesting. He'd gone to Scotland Yard, and this is what they've done to him. They've put him in prison. This is what's going on, folks. This is the tyranny. This is the corruption. And yeah, but they all know about my YouTube channel. Okay, so it's sickening. It's evil. My partner said he was collecting food from one of the food stations, and he said I could see the veins in this man's head of how angry he was. So he said, I thought you'd like to hear that. I said, yes. I need someone to be angry for me. But this isn't just being angry. I need someone to actually do something. But they wait till something tragic happens before they even pull their little fingers out, because they're just ninnies in nappies. People die for your freedoms for what? I've done care work. So as I said, just have a look at. She's just slamming the door, slamming, 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 and the whole house is shaking. It's just not, it's not on. I'm not filming anyone here, but the person who owns the dogs said they've got a disability, but so have I. And no one told me there were dogs, but my partner, who's been a carer for me, is not allowed in here. Caroline Ansell gave him a caring role. We've both been arrested and brutalised. And Darren got that thug, PC McCarthy's badge number. He's got a photographic memory. These crimes need to be logged. Anyway, I'm stopping this video now because I've just had enough of it. I really have.